All right, welcome everyone to Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. It is a lot going on this evening, but it's all right. We're here, we're good, everything is gravy, and we are going to have a great time. You know, it's nights like these when stuff starts happening, you know that it must be a great conversation about to take place because life starts life and we not giving no credit to who we may call the enemy, but we just saying it's okay, we good, we here, so we are ready to go. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, on the greatest network that ever existed on YouTube. That is the Bravo with Sheila network. It is curated by who I call my Auntie Bravo. So glad to see her. She is none other than uh, she is none other than Pastor Sheila Ingram herself, and I love her. Salute to you, Auntie Bravo. She be holding me down, y'all. Listen, this day is giving something, I don't know what, but we are here to have dynamic conversation on tonight. So thank you so much for yielding me this captain's chair on this Thursday to spend some time in conversation with you. I want to greet some people in the chat. As I was saying, we have the greatest moderator in these YouTube streets on here with us tonight. As always, Nene Kenya is in the house. We love you, sis. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing, being who you are. In addition, we have Coach Pache Felton. She is the co-host of Monday Nights Beyond the Mic with Dr. Elaine Sanders every Monday night right here on the Bravo with Sheila Network at 7 p.m. Like, subscribe, and share to our channel so that you do not miss any of the great and amazing conversations that are going to take place. Additionally, who else do we have in the house? My girl Alicia Harris is here. Hey, sis, right. It is not 8:30 yet. We all know something happens at 8:30. It kind of goes left. We don't know, but it's what we do here. So we're going to keep it going. Let's see who else we have in the house. We have my girl, my sis, Risha Epps is in the building. So glad to see you, sis. 1, 2, 3. Hola, Risha. It's good that you are here with us. So like, subscribe, and share, please. And thank you. So we also want to greet those who are up in the silent section, the expensive seats. We want to say hello to you too. Come on down to the comment section where it's safe. I promise you there's security here. No one will hurt you. We just want to greet you and treat you right over here. All right. So while Bravo with Sheila Network is not a Christian channel, we are Christian based. We are believers. And so, you know, I'm a God's girl, so you're going to get a little Jesus no matter where I go. But we say that to say, on the Bravo with Sheila Network, we respect, we honor, and we appreciate everyone's, whatever your moral compass is, whatever your beliefs are. And we are here to engage in conversation that creates greater understanding and helps us to bond stronger relationships one with another. But the most important relationship we are trying to build is the one with ourselves. So please feel free to comment, share your thoughts, your feelings, share your questions. We just ask that you are respectful and mindful to everyone. Everyone's point and voice is important. So we appreciate you sharing and we respect that greatly. Okay. Now, if you are looking for a little bit of good word, if you need a lift and encouragement for your spirit, for your mind, a little something to get you off, take the edge off, you go right across the street. It's right across the street. You cannot miss it. When you leave here, it's right across the street over to the Sheila Ingram Ministries channel. Okay. And over there, this great word every day. Pastor Sheila has the kabod. Sometimes there is worship. There's always a word. On Tuesdays, there is Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa. She is my mother. Literally, she pushed me out. She has her show on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. and then also on Fridays at 11 a.m. You have the Three Musketeers, the Women of Grace. Amazing. If you have not tuned in, okay, to the Women of Grace, Listen, make some time on a Friday. I promise you at 11 a.m. it will bless your heart. You have Pastor Sheila, you have Mama Rosa, Pastor Rosa, and you have Reverend Jenny on there. And these women are sharing the Bible and breaking it down like never before. So come get your fill over there as well. So I'll see we have a few more people in the building. We have my Auntie Grace is here. Grace Von Thomas is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight. And we are excited about this amazing conversation. So like, subscribe, and share if you would be so kind. And if you would be so gracious, I would appreciate it. Okay? All right. So as you know, the month of June, I believe, if I didn't forget anything, the month of June, we are dedicated to our men. It was Father's Day within this month, but we decided to make the whole month about our men. Why? Because men, the feedback or what I've been hearing in the streets, you know, amongst the men folk, they talking, y'all. And as we say on the men's lounge, something happens when men speak. But men don't always have a safe space to be heard or to voice their feelings, their opinions, their thoughts in a space where they are not being interrupted, in a space where they're able to speak freely, and in a space where it is a trusted sanctuary for them to be heard. So we wanted to create that and dedicate this month to our men to let them know that we appreciate you, we value you, we could not do what we do without you. And your voices are important. We want to hear what you have to say. And we don't want to just hear what you have to say, but we want to be able to respond and support you properly. So within this month, we started out the month talking about men's heart health, what makes your heart beat. And we had, that wasn't the start. That was one of the weeks though. We had my dear friend, Pastor Chuck, come on, and he shared with us. We started out talking about men's emotional health, asking them, how are you feeling? Because oftentimes our men are not asked that question. They are not, their feelings are kind of overlooked. So we wanted to pause for a minute to share and express and ask them, how are you feeling? And we wanted to learn and glean from what men's feelings are, because oftentimes we assume one thing and it's another. Then we had last week, the men's lounge was leading the way, and we talked about a song, To Be a Man. So we had our men coming on and sharing through this song what it really means to be a man, what a man really feels and goes through in his heart space and his mental space. And I hope that we gleaned something really good from there. If you missed any of those shows, please go back and watch them. On tonight, we are going to wrap up this month of June with the question. We want to talk about men's mental health. Our men go through more things than we can imagine. There are stresses that they endure that they may never say anything about. And so we appreciate them, but we want to talk about the mental health of our men. So the question on tonight is, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? A lot of times men walk around and they don't say a word, but there are so many things pressing on their mind. And sometimes they don't share and they just carry the burden because they don't feel that if they share, they're going to be looked at the same or respected in the same manner or valued in the same way. They don't want to be viewed as broken because of the weights of the things they carry. So tonight we want to talk about what's on your mind. And tonight is a special night for me because our special guest on tonight is someone who has been in my life for many, many years, 20 plus. She was with us on our Sheroes segment. She is my spiritual mom and also my pastor in the person of Dr. Tresmaine Grimes. She is legit, y'all, earned, not honorary. She is so many amazing things outside of a pastor and a dean and a psychologist and a counselor. This is who she is. This is what she does. So she's here to help us and add to the conversation and lend to what we can do to help ease some of the pressure and the weight off of our men. So we hope that this month has been amazing so far, and we're gonna wrap it up tonight. But tonight, I want to bring up our other guests. We have some of our men all this month. The men have been invited to come and be a part of this platform and to share in this space. So on tonight, we want to bring up He is a major supporter of the Bravo with Sheila Network. I don't think a show goes on that he does not show up for. So I am glad that finally was able to get hold of him so that he could come and be a part and lend his voice to this space. And he is none other than, y'all may know him, you may not, but you will before this night is over. He is known as Von Eric Blessings. Von Eric, where is your faith? So we're going to bring him up to the stage, onto the platform on tonight. Let us see. Hey, Von Eric, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. I'm extremely honored to be here, to be on the platform with you. You are a blessing and a woman that's full of wisdom. The queen, the crown is upon your head. And it's blessed to be with all the people that's in the chat today. I appreciate you all.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I'm glad you are here with us to share on tonight. Von Eric has lent his voice. If he's not on the platform, he will definitely be in the comment section lending some jewels and some wisdom. And I love his perspective on so many things. So we definitely wanted to lend his voice to this space on tonight. So I thank you so much for being here. And now, you all know him. He is the lead moderator, co-assistant for the Men's Lounge. I call him the Encounter and the Experience. You know who he is and you know what to expect. And if you don't, you will find out before the night is over. He is in the person of Pastor Christopher Newton, aka the Psalmist Voice. We're going to bring him up on tonight as well. Hey, Pastor Chris, thank you for joining us. Come on, say hello to the people.
What's good, Bravo with Sheila Nation? It's your boy, the Psalmist Voice, and of course, I got my boy Von Eric in the building, and of course, Lady Don P. So you already been warned. It's almost 8:30, but we just starting the show. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but hey, we on. I'm ready. Von Eric's ready. Lady Don B's ready. Are you ready? Put your comments in the chat. We're ready to get this thing popping. Let's get it. Let's go.
And here we go on tonight. So I just want to shout out also Lady Deshawn Beal. She is one of the ladies in the ladies room squad. She's in the building on tonight. Hey, Lady Deshawn, thank you for joining us and being in the house. We are glad to see you. And we believe her husband, Pastor Linwood, will also be joining us momentarily as soon as he's available. But on tonight, before we bring up our special guest on this evening to join in this conversation, I'll just, we wanted to have free-flowing conversation on tonight about what's on your mind. So I want to start by asking the men the question, when it comes to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this. When it comes to expressing what's on your mind, do you feel that is it easy for you to do with the women or the people in your lives, or do you feel there's no space for you to really share where you're at? Do you think you have to? Do you find yourself in a space where you have to kind of mince your words to make other people feel comfortable, or do you feel there's a space, or what is your safe space where you feel you can share what's on your mind freely? Do you have such a space? So come on, Von Eric, lead us off in this conversation if you don't mind, sir.
Okay, good question. It had to be a person that I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable with my mom and my dad. When I'm in their space and able to talk, I'm comfortable with them. So the person that outside that, it will have to be that I equate to be my mom or my dad. When I'm within myself, it's obviously, and most important, is God. Within myself, I have that conversation with him. And then outside of that, it would be my mom and my dad.
Okay, so people that are close to you. Because I think that's great, because a lot of people, male and female, but we're going to talk about the men tonight, don't even have that kind of relationship with their parents. Some people, your parent is the problem sometimes. So it is a blessing to be able to have that space or relationship with your mother and your father, that you can go to them and tell them what's on your mind. Are you ever in fear? Is there ever anything that you don't share with them for fear of judgment in that space when you're with them? Or do you find it, or are you blessed, one of the few blessed that had that no holds barred kind of, conversation with them?
Well, it would most likely be more so on my dad, because he was a pastor, so he's coming. He may come with that strictness, stern Bible commandment type thing, So he may come with that, but it doesn't actually get me uncomfortable, because the way he explains it, sometimes he may have that stern feeling. But my mom, we always had a bond, because I used to get up every morning and we used to have coffee together before I went to school. So I was able to
Oh,
communicate the
nice.
things in the world and things like that with her. And she used to like put wisdom within me of things of what the world may bring to me, but then temptations. And it gave me something that I can hold on and use when temptations came my way. So my father, by him being a pastor, he did, told me spiritual things, and then he came with as far as biblical standards and stuff, things like that, and that helped. I still call him. I still call him today. He's 80 now, 89. So, but I still call him today and get that wisdom and thing, because I believe history always repeats itself. So I call him for that history, and I call my mom if I need to deal with women, because history was in her and she's a woman. So I call him for different things like that.
Yeah, it's. I like to say history does repeat itself, and I often say history repeats itself when you don't learn the lesson the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a key thing. And I think that father son, or that just that male role, even father daughter, that bonding and relationship, that space to be able to speak freely is so important and so key. So for those of you who have your dad and your mom available to you, I would definitely recommend working on creating that safe space with them, where you can talk to them about anything. Hopefully they'll be the keeper of your secrets. Like I said, sometimes not all parents are that way, but that was a great share. Thank you so much, Vaughn. I'm going to go down to Pastor Chris and ask him the same. Come on, Pastor Chris, and share with us on tonight what that space looks like for you. Do you have that? Is it possible?
Is it possible? Yes. I'm going to flip the script a little bit, and God bless Von Erich for having both his parents in his life. And, I'm not saying that to be funny at all, but when you don't grow up in a dynamic like that, there are a lot of things that you can learn that are not good. There's a lot of things you can learn that are bad. There's a lot of things that you learn from the school of hard knocks. So again, my experience came from a lot of hard knocks, trauma, pain, all that stuff. So having an outlet to speak to someone is vital, especially as you get older, because all of that starts to impact and it starts to impound you to the point where you start to explode and you implode within yourself. What do I mean by that? Well, you can meet a woman, you can meet any woman, and if that woman does not, you give that woman the just a piece of you, and then she cuts you off, or she chews you up, or she takes you by the jugular, use what you're saying, you're being open to her, you're giving her a piece of your heart, and she eats it. That messes most men up to the point where, you know what, yeah, you fine, you all this and all that, but at the end of the day, I can't talk to you, so I'm out. And I think I said this a couple of shows back in regards to that, because again, we have to have an open line of communication, male and female. And if we're not able to tell or give a piece of our hearts to each other, how can we grow? How can we have mental health on both parties, let alone men? We deal with enough, especially as black men. We deal with a lot. So at the end of the day, just having a safe place, being able to speak freely without being judged or used against you, that causes great mental healing. It causes a safe space. It causes you to grow and heal from your traumas, all that stuff. We don't need worldstar.com. I'm sorry. We just don't. We're too grown for that, ladies and gentlemen. But at the end of the day, that's just my take on it. So I'm learning as I go. And again, that's a key. We have to meet each other in the middle. That's the only way we're going to be able to have mental health in this regard, especially as men. And I'm done.
Oh, well, thank you for that. That is so, that's important, and that's a great share too. So, ladies, what we want to glean also from this, and ladies lean in and gentlemen lean in as well, because what we're hoping to continue to do through this dialogue is to create. We have real talk, real resolutions, and we want to be able to create knowledgeable spaces for us to be able to pull solutions out and really put them into practice. It makes no sense for us to keep coming together in these spaces that are created, because we're always, you hear people crying about, oh, nobody talks about this, no one talks about that. Here on the Bravo and Sheila Network, I know on Thursday nights, we don't have any problem talking about the tough issues and the real deal, because that's the only way we're going to get better. It's the only way we're going to improve relationships between men and women. We have to stop being at odds with each other. We have to find, someone has to take the first step in creating that space and taking down and allowing the other person to speak. I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it again. A lot of times when men are trying to share what's on their mind and on their heart and be honest about it, it's the saying that you want the truth, you can't handle the truth. When men start speaking and sharing their truth, women, we tend to be triggered by their truth, or the part of their truth that we hear. And then the part that we hear that upsets us or that hits the most, we don't allow them to finish their sentence, but we will cut them off. And we have to learn to pause and let the man finish getting out what it is. Because then when he shuts down, we wonder why we feel disconnected. Because as Pastor Chris was saying, when I feel like I can't talk to you, I'm not going to share with you. So, we want to improve those relationships so that we can build better families, and better families building better communities. And we want to go back to being friends and partners, not enemies. So thank you both for sharing thus far on tonight. I want you guys to like, subscribe, and share. Please welcome to this space. It is great conversation. We are wrapping up Men's Month. Tonight's question is, we're talking about men's mental health. We want to know what's on your mind. And we want to give men the space to share with us what happens, what goes through their mind in an average day, so to speak. They leave the house one way, they come back another way, and they're often left still as weighted. When they left is when they come back, and even more pressure. So I want to ask this question to the gentlemen also, before we introduce someone else to the panel in a moment. I believe it was Pastor Chris, you mentioned about like when you were growing up and not having a parent or father or mother, and Von Eric having the experience of having the father and the mother always there. But I'm sure as men and as boys, we've gone through this whole scenario of girls being treated one way, we're coddled. Boys are treated in the way where don't cry, get up, shake it off, you're a man. No, you're not a man, I'm a boy. So you never get the chance to really to navigate your way, first of all, to acknowledge what you're feeling, and second of all, to navigate your way through those feelings. You're never given the opportunity to think about what it is that you're feeling. And so then you end up walking around with these unanswered questions on your mind. So when you encounter questions that need answering, but they don't get answered, and all they're doing is piling up and weighing you down, my question to each of you is, how do you handle those moments of being overwhelmed? Can you help men? What maybe tell them what you do when you're feeling overwhelmed? Because there's a lot of things that men, those unanswered questions create habits that you may not even understand where they come from or why why are you reacting or acting this way? Why are you seeking out this behavior as a way of expression? It's because you had questions as a child that never got answered because you were never given the opportunity to ask. So now as grown men, how do you handle those moments of being overwhelmed? Come on, Von Eric.
Handle moments of being overwhelmed. What I do is I get into the Word of God. That's what helps me. I've always been like that since I was a child. And then, like I said before, I meditate on that. I may go for a walk. But one of the things that I do if I feel overwhelmed, I start thinking about things. I keep thinking over and over what I'm overwhelmed about. I will keep and stay within myself until I get an answer. And sometimes the answer may not be good enough within me. So I will talk to different people and listen to different people. And then God will bring me the answer. And then I say, oh, okay. And then that ease the overwhelming that I'm going through. I could just be talking to anybody, my family or a friend or a colleague of mine, to bring me that answer. But I know that I won't. One thing that I do, it'll keep staying with me and I won't let it go. And sometimes people just tell me, you need to just let it go because it could be, but it's something that within me, I just can't let it go. I feel as though it's just always an answer and I won't stop until I'm able to see it and get that answer. Sometimes if a person, I may, talk to a person to see and see if they can help me or things like that, like my mom or someone like my mom that I feel comfortable with, or my dad, and try to get the answer like that also.
Okay. Well, that's good. So it's through communication with, again, those that you trust. And the other part that you have is it's a persistent thought for you.
Right. It's a persistent thought, but it may not be someone when you say trust, it could still be a friend, a mutual friend that I haven't known for years. I would still may ask them a question, or I may ask them things and they may talk to me or things that they are going through. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm going through the same thing and get my answer that way also. I mean, sometimes people that I know for a long period of time, they look at me a certain way. So they're going to do certain things a certain way to me because the way they look at me. So sometimes I may have that answer that someone doesn't know me as good to get that answer that I need.
Right. You want to be in a space where you're not judged, where it's not a biased response, where you can get an answer for someone authentically. Correct. So, and it's good that you have that. So, men, that's another avenue, consider talking, to one another, or even those, like you said, not old friends. Sometimes the new friends could give you better insight than the old friends because they don't have that history with you. So thank you for that. That's an excellent point. And I want to pause right here to bring up, I am super biased, y'all. I'm just telling you right now, I'm absolutely biased about this lady right here. I love her with my everything. Okay, I'm everything. So I'm going to try to calm down and act right tonight and stay in my professional pocket, but I make no promises. All right, she is our special guest on tonight. She is my spiritual mama, okay? Been in my life. That's right. I'm super biased. I'm going to try. I'm not doing really good so far. I'm not. So I'm not even going to try no more. But she's amazing. She is everything and all of that. I'm surrounded by some amazing women, y'all. But she has been on this platform before. She was one of the celebrated Sheroes in the month of March, who does amazing things. And she is in the person of, again, I'm trying not to say my mama, but she is my mama, okay? And my pastor, Dr. Trezmaine Grimes, is in the building.
Hey, baby girl. Hey,
Go.
God bless you all. Men folk. I love y'all.
Welcome to the platform, Mom. Okay, I'm gonna try to. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even gonna try to call her Dr. Grimes because it's not gonna come out. It's just not gonna. So y'all forgive me. She is Dr. Trezmaine Grimes. She is amazing. She is so many wonderful things. Again, she's an earned doctor, okay, earned doctorate, not honorary. She put that time and work in, okay, y'all, for real, for real. She is a pastor, a counselor, a mother, a wife. She is the head CEO and founder of Sarah's Daughters Ministries. She is the amazing co-pastor of Living Water Christian Center, LWCC. Okay, that's my people. That's my home. That's my home. That's what we do. And she is here. She is amazing. And she is here to share and lend with us on tonight. And yet she is a grandma. Okay. Cannot forget about her grandbabies with the beautiful selves. Okay. Okay. That's right. She has so many things, and I'm sure she will share with you a little bit more. But we wanted her expertise because she does a lot of counseling. She is majored in psychology, so she understands the things of the mind. If you've ever had a conversation with her, or if you ever had a conversation, I've had many. She made one statement to me over dinner I will never forget. I share it everywhere I go because I just want y'all to understand. Ain't no shame in my game, Ma. That's right. We were having a conversation. I was going through a really rough marriage, and trying to find I don't even know how I found my way in. I was trying to find my way out, and I needed some guidance. I had to go to therapy. She couldn't be my therapist, but I made a point of I was doing something out of compassion, and she just, with her calming voice, which is worse than if she yelled at you, actually. She said, baby girl, she said, compassion never hurts you in the end. She said, what you have is a twisted sense of loyalty. Well, at that point, it added such clarity. Then I was like, I'm done. Dinner is over. I'm going to go home now and make my therapy appointment in the morning, because it was a very defining and impactful moment. Changed the trajectory of my life and helped me understand what I was going through, because what I viewed as one thing really was another. So she is all things amazing, but we want her input on tonight to help us understand maybe some of the traumas, how to help through this thing of the mind, and especially with our men and our men's mental health. So come on, Mom, share a little bit, maybe your thoughts of what you may have heard so far, or whatever you would like.
Well, first thing I want to say is I'm so proud of you for stepping into this space and allowing God to use you to talk about everything, including our men. It is something that we don't really talk about. And so I'm really proud of you for stepping into a space that's needed. And I'm going to say what everybody else says. Hey, I hope I say your name right. Ine? Is it Ine? Hey, Ine. I don't know how to chat to the whole group because I don't have an account. So I'm just telling you my frailty. I'm her mama, but you understand what I'm saying. But anyway, this is so good, because I think, and thank you for all of the kind words before I forget, but this is so good because I love you too, Lady Grace. Where is the forum for men? I think it's becoming more normalized for males to have a voice. I think it's becoming more normalized that we should allow men to speak. And I think it's becoming more normalized that men should speak. For years, the truth is that we were killing our men off very young because they kept everything inside. And so the age difference that always existed between men and women was that men would die at 50 and women would die at 70. And we would be widows. It was always anticipated that women would be widows because men would die sooner. And that's basically, not just because they were working harder, but also because, exactly, Pastor, because the things that they felt were internalized, never externalized. Or if they were externalized, they were typically externalized in type A ways. masculine way, right? So it's a violent thing, or it's a sport thing, or it's a drink thing, or it's a drug thing. It's an outlet. But when you're finished with that thing, you still have the emotion. And so that's what kills you. Self-medication is what most people are doing. And it's really important that we understand that when we're trying to understand why men do this, why men do that, why men are like this. And, we can go on with a whole litany of why men, why men. And I think a lot of it is some of the things you talked about already, the way men are raised. I still hear people telling little boys to man up. When I hear you say that to an 18-month-old, I take issue with that because he doesn't know how to man up. He's just a baby. And so I think we have to let the toilet train before we start telling them man up. But, in our community, that's what we do. And then we want to make references to their potential sexuality because they're crying at 18 months old. So we start this whole trajectory where we're telling our boys, if you do this, then this is who you are. This is who you'll become. And we start pegging them into categories of weakness. And so in order to avoid that, we've encouraged boys, little baby boys. If little baby boys are violent, we sort of assume that that's part of their Y chromosome. If little baby girls are violent, we silence them and make them act right and tell them, now, you're a young lady, you can't act. And for boys, we're like, well, boys will be boys. You said, well, what has happened is we've normalized those stereotypes. And by doing that, we have fractured people internally and created a bunch of people that don't know how to feel. And here's the double-edged sword. When we are grown women and we want these men, because they're kind of cute and all, right? We want them to act differently with us, but they have no script for that. Because what we've taught them is man up. This is what it means to be a man. It means you don't feel. It means you don't talk. It means if you do feel, you keep it to yourself or you drown it out rather than healing it. And so now that women are working just as hard as men, guess what? Men are becoming widowers. You know why? Because women are dealing with the exact same thing. You can't talk because as soon as we got into positions of power, we were told you have to act like a man.
Yeah.
And so we can't look like men necessarily, but we have to act like them in the workplace. And that means we silence a lot of things. We come off a certain way. We have to portray ourselves. And might I add, if you happen to look like me, meaning a woman of color and a particular color, I am dark brown, unmistakably Black, proud to be so, can't hide, pass for nothing. Okay. So when people see me, they make certain assumptions about me. And the stereotype about me is that I'm an angry Black woman. So many times what I have to do is reverse that by being like guys and holding in my emotions so that I don't explode and become stereotypical in my spaces where people are like, oh, I knew she couldn't handle this much pressure. And you're like, okay, no, I can handle the pressure. I just don't like you. But I can't say that out loud. I have to keep that to myself. Yes, the pastor said it. I love you because Jesus said I had to, but I don't like your ways. I don't like how you do. I don't like how you think. I don't like how you treat people. I don't like how you disrespect. I don't like any of that. And that's the pressure that men have always felt in the workplace. So women feel it now too, and we die too. So heart attacks, stroke, we get that too now because we're out in the world where they used to be, and we have to do the exact same things that they had to do and then come home and don't take it out on the people there because the people there are not responsible for what you're feeling. See, when you get a teacher on, we talk a lot. I'm sorry.
Talk on, Mom. Talk on.
Just verbose, just be talking. But my point is, you can't take that stuff out at home. And I think one of the problems with relationships is now both of us are in that intense space for all those hours in the day. And you come home and you don't know how to debrief, how to take that off and not take it out on the person who isn't responsible. And the unfortunate thing is, we like to, in psychology, talk about kick the dog syndrome. The dog is the one that's innocent, but the dog is available. So when I'm frustrated, I'm going to kick the dog. Now, the dog ain't had nothing to do with my day. Dog is at the, hey, how you doing? I've been home all day missing you. And here you come, bam, shut up, dog. Don't you know I'm tired? Well, now make that dog a spouse and understand that the stress of your day, the stress of your life, these stereotypical behaviors, you come home and now both of you are on 10. So how we have to learn how to help each other come down from that space. Take a minute before you respond. It's not easy, because as soon as you get home, it's like, bam, you got to do these things. And God forbid you have little people who don't really understand that you need a minute to just say, can I please not hear my name? Could you not call my name? When my kids were little, I'd be like, isn't there another mom? There's got to be someone else who can respond to this name. Because I can hear, mom. I just got home. And for men, like, dad. And then we put the pressure on them. Your kids don't behave. You fix it. Because when daddy comes home and your father gets home, no, I'm going to handle it now. I'm going to handle it right now before your father gets home. And I'm going to tell him that I handled you. And I'm going to ask him to please handle you too. No, you're going to get a double dose, because I was angry and now he's going to be angry because you made me more angry. So now two of us are going to gang up on you. And that's how it has to be, because otherwise they play you like a symphony instrument. Mommy was mean. Daddy, I don't know why. Mommy said you were going to beat me when you got home. We have to stop doing that. I see you, Pastor. We have to stop doing that and realize both of us need the support of each other. Don't let them little humans break up your house. Because little humans are something else. They know exactly what they're doing. God gave them wisdom beyond their years. Say, oh, that's what bothers my father. Let me.
I'm gonna dance all on that.
What? All right, let me stop talking.
No, it's good, Ma. It's good because this is what we need, and it balances out the conversation, because we're always pitting ourselves one against the other, and rarely do we have a neutral party to be able to come in the midst and say, hey, hold on, everybody, stop and think, because we all just want to be heard, and we want our feelings to be more important than the other person's. And we want our men to lead, but a lot of times, and I'm not, anti-woman, I just really believe that it has to start somewhere. Yeah. And since I'm a woman, that's all I know to do is to start with me. Mm-hmm. We have to stop the cycle somewhere. And so I say, women, we as being built as the helpmate, suitable, it doesn't take anything away from us for us to pause, because our men have been silent and shut down and shut out and beat up upon for so long. It does not mean that we have not experienced things as well. It does not mean that our experiences are not as equally valid, but we have to stop one-upping each other on our experiences and our pains. If you stop to listen to him, I would want my dad to be in the best mood ever. Why? Because he's the head of this household. And when he's in a good mood, he is willing to do and to give and to lend and to express and to support. Right, that part, all that. So, sir, if you need quiet, everybody shut up. Everybody. Everybody, tell the cat, tape the cat's mouth if the cat's mouth is disturbing him. You know what? Whatever it is. I'm just saying, whatever it is. You gotta tape this and turn the fish tank off if the bubbles is bothering the man. Let the fish die. Because the fish are not leading this household. The fish ain't paying the rent. I was about surviving. I want to be able to do something about it.
Poor fish. Poor fish.
I'm just saying, whatever it was. So for me, my mindset is whatever it is that's going to help our men to feel better. Women, we have to start doing it, because when you create that space, I don't really want to take the cat's mouth, but I'm just saying, if it comes down to it, you got to make a choice. Choose wisely. Choose life, y'all. Choose life. Okay. I'm just saying.
You touched on something seriously that I think is so important. I think everybody feels like the other person can't hear my pain. And that's why we go into that back and forth. I think we have to acknowledge that some of this, and I don't mean to be deep, but if you are a person whose ancestry was in this country or any other country being enslaved, we learned lessons that we passed along, and those lessons are powerful. And one of the lessons we learned that we passed along was that men had to be a different kind of strong. Our men had to watch some things and experience some things that they had no control over.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mean to be deep, but I guess I do.
No, go deep. Go deep.
Some of it is ancestral teaching. We learned from people who were oppressed that the best way to be safe was to be silent. That lesson carried through. Okay? You want to be safe? Shh. Shut your mouth. How come we learn you go in the store, shut your mouth, don't touch nothing? It wasn't that your mother was being so mean, it's that your mother understood you can't be the one to do those things because you show up, you're visible. People are looking for you to be that person. And so they taught our grandparents and great grandparents, hush, take it, don't say nothing, just walk, and then we started taking it out on each other because that was the only place that we could.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. What you're going to do, even when I taught my kids, my son in particular, law enforcement, you can get a badge number, but I want you to live through. Don't rise up in that context. That's not new. That's the same thing that's been generational. Quiet your pain. Quiet your pain. Don't talk about it until you get in the right place. And in fact, most of us were told don't talk about it at all.
No.
I'm going to go even deeper. That mindset of watching your women be abused and there was nothing you could do about it. Watching your kids be abused and there was nothing you could do about it. Watching your family be sold and there was nothing you could do about it. That passed on to us. There's only so much you can do. Either you go buck wild, right? And you become, a person who's lynched, or you internalize and you figure out how you handle. Then we look at some of the behaviors that stemmed from that. How could I learn how to be close to you when it wasn't safe to be close to you? You could be born at any time. Our ancestors didn't have the privilege of long marriage until after slavery was over. And that's why I think they stayed married for 450,000 years. Because they were like, I finally have the right to be with you and not have anybody else tell me that they're going to sell you off or take you away. And even in that, What could they do if someone came to take us? What could they do in those contexts? So we bred pain into our men because there were so many things they could not say and could not do. And you knew you better keep your eyes down, and you knew you better not talk a whole bunch of smack because your family needed you to go to work and bring home some kind of resource so your kids could eat. Now, fast forward to 2021. We haven't unlearned those lessons. I learned, and I'm of a certain age, I learned that being strong meant you were silent, that you kept it to yourself, that nobody else knew your struggle. My mother didn't mean any harm when she said to me, strong women don't cry. She didn't mean any harm. But for her survival, she had been taught, you can't show that. It doesn't matter if your heart is broken. You can't show that. You can't put that out there. Because when people see your weakness, they're going to break you. They're going to kill you. So when they take your kid, you can't show that. When they do something against your man, you can't show that. When a man breaks your heart, you can't show that. But what we did was carry that. And so the next gentleman that comes along gets all that stuff, and including, I can't trust you. He didn't do anything wrong, but I can't trust you because the last person harmed me and I couldn't talk about it because I'm a strong woman. And so strong women don't get healed, and strong men who've been through their own problems don't get healed because they keep it here. And so between the two of us, we are a hot mess. And then we wonder why we don't get along. My pain and your pain are not in competition. And as you said, if we could just get on the same page and understand we've all got pain because this society was designed to pain us.
And here we are adding to it. Just making it stronger and adding, just lending volume to what, we're expected to perpetuate in that space. That's something that I had to learn. That's one of the things that it really sticks out with me as a life lesson, because it's one of the things that I had to really, really learn, that I wanted to be heard, and I felt like if I wasn't heard first, or me listening to you telling me your life story and what you did, and all of that, it did not. It's like, so what you saying? So I ain't never been through nothing either, instead of like, hold up, let me tell you, sir, what I've been through. When the man just wants to, he's just expressing, and I had to learn in one sense to take the emotion out of it, my emotion, not to be emotionless, and let him speak. Our pain is similar, but it comes from different places. And if we're both in pain, the same way I want to be heard is the same way I have to be willing to listen. But again, if we want our men to lead, then how we can't expect him to lead when we're in front of him. So we have to do the behind the scenes work in order to be that support, and know that he's not ignoring you. Your feelings are no less valid. But our men are walking around with the pressures that they deal with. I see you, Pastor Chris. With the pressures that they deal with on their own, and then here we come adding to that with beating up on them internally in what's supposed to be the safe space. And this is why they have so much on their mind. I want to pause for a second to do two things. I want to bring up Pastor Linwood is in the house. Here comes the other Jesus. The toxic twins are in the house. That's Pastor Linwood and Pastor Chris. Okay, so the toxicity is here. All right, the yin and yang is what they do. I love you, bro. I love you. I love you. I'm gonna let you. Thank you for popping over us tonight. I want to hear from you and Pastor Chris, but I do want to read some comments before I give y'all the space. I hope you are all enjoying this conversation. I told you, I knew sometimes I know what I'm doing without knowing what I'm doing, but I knew what I was doing because God told me to do it. You know what I'm saying? when I brought her up mama. Because she is good helping us to understand. So Lady Deshawn is giving her heart eyes to her partner, her teammate on Team Bill, Pastor Linwood in the house. All right, we see you. We see you. Auntie Grace Vaughn Thomas says, excellent teaching, Pastor Grimes. She representing LWCC, right? Do the right person in the house. Pastor Chris says, you preach good, Pastor Grimes. He also said, like, you don't know, you know. He also says, bitches, get you know the rest. My God. Risha said, that's good when you were speaking and sharing about the background, the history of what our ancestors went through and how those mentalities were passed down and those habits. Pastor Chris also says the anointing was in the switch. My God. See, I wasn't a fan of that. I wasn't. I am for a four. As y'all know, I call myself because I'm the youngest of the four. And after watching the other three get towed up, it didn't look like fun for me. So I was not attracted to that. I did not think that was my portion. And I had 2 beatings in my whole life, one by each parent. I did not need any more. My whole life put together after that. Yes, sir. Landon Price, welcome, Landon Price. Good to see you in the building. Thank you for joining us. Says, what your mama say? Well, there it is. We heard that too many times. That was the earlier part of our conversation. Elaine, welcome, Elaine. That's my bestie in North Carolina. She said that part. And let's see. Landon Price also says, at NA, been good month, real life topics, multiple generations. In relation to what we've been talking about this month. This is Men's Month. We are wrapping it up. We wanted to give our men space to speak and share. You know that on the Men's Lounge, which is every third Thursday of the month, we yield space to the platform to say what they need to say. And our motto on Thursday nights is something happens when men speak. So prepare yourself. Something happens. We have Lady Navoa back in the house. It's good to see you. She says it's good. And Pastor Chris Dilly with that switch, I think he missed whoopings. I don't know. I'm not sure. Probably not. But okay. Listen, I'm just reading the comments, sir. I'm just reading the comments. You're a little too old for whoopings now, but you know we gonna let that rest. Let it rest. So. Pastor Linwood, welcome. Come on and greet the people. Before I put the question back on the floor to Pastor Chris, and then you share. I don't know how much of the conversation you have heard and shared, but come on, greet the people. Tell us something good about what's on the man's mind or what you want to share. And then Pastor Chris, you come behind him. But you know, while we're doing that, let me just read the question. Let me just remind you of the question. It was talking about as a child, as young boys, you had many questions, I'm sure, that you encountered that never got answered because we went back to the point of when boys were told, you know, when you cry, when something happened, you were told, you know, don't cry, man up, you know, and you had to keep that in before you even had a chance to relate to what you were feeling or make sense of what you were feeling, to digest what you were feeling, to consider it an emotion. You did not have that opportunity to do that. So you've gone through life with so many unanswered questions about how to handle and manage what you go through. So those questions still pile up in your mind and bear weight on your shoulders through life. And they affect what your habits are, how you react, how you speak, how you navigate life. And they pile up and they weigh you down. So my question to everyone was, how do you handle those moments of being overwhelmed now as adults, as grown men, not always having had the ability to navigate that space as young men? So that was my question. My mama Grimes, this is my spiritual mom, Pastor Linwood, Dr. Grimes. Okay, so she's mine. Okay, I'm not sharing her. There's no more room. That's it. I give. Okay, And this is my brother, Pastor Linwood. This is Dr. Grimes. But come on, Pastor Linwood, greet the people, share something with us tonight, and then Pastor Chris, I want you to come right behind him and share as well.
First, I want to just want to say thank you for always opening the platform to me and sharing the space with me. Lady Dawn, you know you're my sister in real life. And
For real.
Nothing gonna ever break that.
No, sir.
Good evening to this great audience, to my brother, Pastor Chris. Dr. Grimes, so nice to be in your presence and to meet you. And to my brother, Von Eric, man, it's always good to be in the same space. Look, this is a little bit different for me, Lady Dawn, because you know I'm always looking for a toxic space. But this topic is too serious and it is too valuable to even try to treat it that way.
But you know, at 30, it gets a little left-sided, so there'll be space for toxicity.
But here is the point in it for me, and why it was so important for me to be here tonight for this topic when all month it's been just crammed with craziness for me. So y'all pray for me. But it was so hard, so important for me to be here, and would have been so hard for me to miss because of the things that my childhood cultivated. And you know, I'm very careful in sharing the story, and it may be one of the first times I share it in a virtual space where I know there's an audience. But when I was 8 years old, I had my first sexual experience with my mom's best friend, and it was not voluntary. And when I went to my mom after being hypersexualized by that, and having that happen to me for the course of almost 4 years, by the time I built up the strength to tell my mother about it, you know what her response was to me? Her response to me was, what man does not want to have sex?
An 8-year-old boy.
At 12.
I'm sorry, 12-year-old boy.
When I shared this with her, that this started happening to me when I was 8, at 12 years old, and she says to me, what man does not want to have sex? And you're coming into manhood. What that did to me then is shift my thinking from a victim to shifting my mindset to what my value and where my value lied. So my value was in my penis. We want to help somebody, and we really are telling the truth tonight, right? Because this can go.
Yes,
I can order it down, or I can give it to you the way it is.
I got you.
Let me just pause for 1 second. We do want to share. We do want to share the truth. We just have to be mindful of the words that we use because we're on actual network and we don't want to get penalized or put on timeout. So we have to work our way around some of the how we verbalize what we're saying. So
so my value became that I saw myself as a man, and my only value was in my sexual performance. And that was from 12 years old, which led to me being a 16-year-old father and my eldest child having a 27-year-old mother. So, my life, even now, sometimes even in my marriage, I struggle with my value only being in someone who provides money and a sexual experience for my wife. And then my needs, my emotions, my interests, and everything else being put on the back burner, because in my mind, I'm still struggling with 2 weeks from today being 50 years old and never having the feeling of being loved beyond my sexual experience and what I can provide financially, because the picture was painted for me at a very early age that men provide, and men provide intimacy sexually. So, the questions from my childhood are very different from some others in their childhood, not saying that my experience is exclusive to me, because I know very well that it's not. But here is what I need someone to hear. Even in establishing a relationship with God in my mid-20s, in pastoring my first church at 30 years old, I still struggle with being seen as a whole person. And if it was not, and I know this isn't a Christian show, but if it was not at times for my relationship with God, I would have been completely and totally lost. And it's still a struggle at times with my relationship with God and leading God's people from one degree of grace into another. It is really, really, really tough to find your value, no matter what self-help books you go through, no matter what conferences you attend, no matter what encouragement you get from the parishioners that you serve, no matter where you find yourself and what achievements that you have come to. I am a published author. I'm an established pastor. I've preached all over this country. I have no reservations or no insecurities in who I am in Christ. And yet I struggle with who I am as a man. And it's not my sexuality that I struggle with. It's where my standing and where my value lies with other people. Because, watch that, I've been a father since 16 years old, and I've been an active father. So I didn't have a childhood. My childhood was taken, but yet I'm raising a child. I educated myself, but yet I go on to a job, and my value by a female boss is only if I will go out to dinner with her. I'm on a college campus, watch this, pursuing a degree, and it isn't my academic prowess that is noticed. Is the fact that I'm athletic, I'm light-skinned in the South, and back then I had pretty good hair. So all throughout my life, even in my days of street pharmaceuticals, I've seen it be that my value is in what I could provide or how I could perform. And even now, Lady Dawn, I struggle Sundays sometimes putting my everything into preaching a sermon that I know was inspired by the word of God and given to me by God. And my value is, Pastor, you sure did preach. What goes back to, you performed well, but never to be asked, how you doing? Is there anything we can do for you? How can we serve you? How can we make your day better? How can we lighten your load? What is it that we can do for you or your family that can take some of the pressure, the weight off of you? It is always what we as men, not just pastors, not just fathers, not just husbands, we as men can provide. And it's like Dr. Grimes said, some of it is systemic, and the system has not always been for us. It has been designed to tear us down. It has been designed for us to see ourselves as inferior. Yet, watch this, yet in our women, in relationship with our women in these days, they have not taken on, in some cases, have not taken on the role as supportive or one that will build you up, but they've taken on the role of house mistress. And how I can remind you how Mr. is beating the mark, but you're not. And sometimes that just adds on to the pressures to perform, the pressures to overcome, because in your overcoming, sometimes what you've never expressed. And that's not her fault.
That's good.
But how can you express it? Something that you're dealing with on the inside, when what she already sees and what she already knows she uses against you. So that's my opening. That's my opening, and I hope that it just helps somebody to know that you're not by yourself, and the title that some of us as men, as Black men, carry does not exempt us from going through the same things that you experience in your everyday life.
No, this was good. Thank you for that share. It was powerful. It was heavy. It's needed and it's truthful. And that's what we're here to do. Again, we're here to have real conversations with real resolutions. And it's important that our men are speaking, because so oftentimes, we pass so many men on the street and they're well put together, good groom, looking amazing and all of that. And who would know that all of that is on your mind and on your heart? And like you said, being 2 weeks away from 50, but something again that started when you were 12, went on for 4 years, what your time frame was.
It really started when I was 8.
Right. From 8 to 12. Right. But who would know that, because you walk over it, like you said, overcoming what you haven't expressed. You never had the opportunity to express that, but you had to overcome it so it did not cripple you for life. And we are looking at our men like they're so strong and nothing's wrong and everything is great and everything is wonderful. Who would know you were carrying that weight? Because even when you are with a woman, you are everything that she is needing you to be, and we're getting from you. So we don't even know. And if we don't pause to really ask and listen and create that space, that safe space, is where we have to have the capacity to manage your truth and not let it turn us away from you. Because a lot of women will hear your story and be like, oh, I can't deal with that. That's way too much. But sis, you got a story too. You have a weight too, but we're expecting this man to lead and have all the answers. You can't have the answers because your mind is still weighed down with all of these things that were not addressed, So,
and with that being said, Lady Dawn, first, excuse me for my appearance. Like I said, I rushed in here.
You fine, you good, you here. That's all. We're glad you're here. We laid down tonight. See, I don't have no bling on.
But here is something that I want to share, and my brothers Von Eric and Chris, can probably share to this experience as well. We start to sometimes measure our success and our achievements by measuring the wrong things. We measure our achievements on how well we perform sexually. We measure our achievements and, even measuring the tools we use for sex. We measure, things that build our ego and not build our character. So, we measure ourselves by the size of our house. I found myself even recently, my brother paid me a visit. My oldest brother paid me a visit, and me and my older brother, were inseparable in our youth, and life has kind of, I'm here in Detroit, he's down in Virginia, but he just popped on me and visited, and he was like, wow, man, your house. And I found myself, yeah, man, 5 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, blah, 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 blah. And I caught myself, and I was like, I ain't never reacted
that way.
Nobody else about this little house until my brother came. And now, I find myself measuring up or trying to, stroke my own ego by talking about, the size of the house. And the truth is, I ain't really cared nothing about this house before he got here. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
It's triggered. You're triggered.
Yeah, it's almost like, we find ourselves in competition where, it really doesn't matter. Because the truth is that this house doesn't make me who I am.
Right. You know,
nor does what I drive, nor does what I wear. But you know, the person that I am, the person that I am on the inside, you know, has been overshadowed from time to time, and all of us is have, you know, our accomplishments and tangible things and titles and all of those things have become how we measure life, and we're broken on the inside. And we have things that we carry every day. And let me ask you a question, Dawn. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say until you bring it back to me. If I had never shared that experience with you from my personality alone, would you have ever guessed that I'd gone through that?
Personally, no, I would not have. I mean, I know everyone has a story.
Yeah.
I know my story, and what if I shared my story with you, you probably wouldn't pick up the same.
Right. So my point in asking that is we've all learned how to mask what we should be bringing to the forefront to help somebody else.
As you said,
I've never mind sharing my story of, you know, establishing myself financially by any means necessary. I've never shared, been ashamed to share the fact that I've had a failed marriage. I've never been ashamed to share the fact that, you know, I was never a stranger to promiscuity or having multiple relationships, or, you know, until I got married, you know, things being the way they were where women were concerned. But when I was 8 years old, that's the root of it, you know, and nobody, you know, so if you knew my father, you would say, man, you just like your dad, you know, you just, you know, you're a womanizer. But it wasn't that I was just like my dad. I had an experience when I was not mature enough to handle it that kind of molded me into someone who has been fighting the stigma of who I was sexually since I was 8 years old.
And I think, you know, your share is amazing. And there's some comments. I want to wrap it around because I want to make sure to give everybody space to speak and to share. Please like, subscribe, and share, guys. This conversation is so important. It's necessary and it's heavy, but it is needed because, again, here we have real talk with real resolutions, and you are hearing from real men, really what is on their mind. It's not just what we think. Men are not just acting a certain way. His aggression is not just because he has nothing better to do, you know, or it comes from a place and a space. You know, and we have to be willing to create an environment. No, we cannot fix it all, but we can support those who want to venture on the road to healing. Because as people, we should want to see each other healed. You wonder why there's so many broken people. Well, there's broken people because no one is giving anyone else the space to really share without judgment. Everyone wants to hide their story, but wants a whole, healed, and perfect person. Until you get whole, healed, and perfect, you cannot look for a whole, healed, and perfect person. And then when you do get whole, healed, and perfect, you need to look for a broken person that you can help get whole and healed. I'm just saying. So Auntie Grace says, Pastor Linwood, your transparency is appreciated. Landon Price said, testimony, glad to hear all too common, even being me too, falsely as a youth boy, change view, everything. Let me see what else. And Pastor Chris was saying he was preaching good. Again, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. We have these conversations because they are very, very necessary and important to have. Mom says, Margaret says, thank you for sharing, Pastor. So rich. Please continue to heal. You are not alone. Others are listening on this line. You have helped so many. And this is why I appreciate having a free-flowing conversation. because while these topics are important, it is important for us that when we hit a nerve, that's where we need to stay, because that's where the most information is needed, so that when we leave here, we have something to work with. So I want to move around the floor, because I know Pastor Chris has something to share. I know Von Eric has something to share. I know Mom has something to share. And Mom, you can interject at any time you want to. If you want to share now behind what Pastor Linwood said, okay, she gonna wait. All right, she gonna hold it down. She wanna keep it going. All right, because she is our special guest. I'm so glad my mama's in the house. Y'all better give it up for my mom. I'm completely biased, y'all. Okay, I done told you I'm absolutely biased. No shame in my game. None at all. I holds it down. So come on, Pastor Chris. You have been waiting, and Pastor Chris, Von Eric, I want you to come and share. Again, we are talking about what's on a man's mind. What is really on your mind? We need to know, we need to hear, because we assume one thing by looking at you and by the way you carry yourself. But truth told, we don't know what's on your mind until we make a space for you to feel comfortable enough for us to ask you and for you to share, and we listen. So come on, Pastor Chris.
I've been listening, and I've been trying to keep my Shonda and Shondo down, but
You haven't been doing a good job.
I've illustrated the switch because, again, this has been a lost art of the switch. Because the switch, this is not literally a switch, but using it as a prop. Usually, in my generation or a little older, we understand what the power of the switch, right? There's an anointing behind the switch because you had to pick the switch. And if it wasn't big enough, Big Mama had you go back out into the switch yard and pick the big switch with the thorns on it. I'm just saying. But anyway, this is a whole nother conversation.
Oh, I didn't have that experience.
And you tend to get flashbacks when you're plus 40 going on 50. You have flash. Anyway, all right. But I wanted to, what really triggered me was the fact that what Pastor Linwood said. Because yes, he is the vanilla persuasion of the situation. But however, there is a chocolate line that has been dropped on the other side of the East Coast. And I understand his testimony because that was my story. And I understand that that's what you are molded to be. You are molded to be not only the provider, but the soul regulator. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that because we're after dark, but we gotta watch what we say. So we gotta understand that when that's what you know, and if that's what you're good at, and you were never taught the values to be a true man of God and just a man, period, you are going to fall in the same lines as the generations before you and the generations before you. I'm not saying it's a generational curse. Now, some of y'all might have begged to differ, so please don't inbox Dr. Grimes or Lady Dawn B. You can inbox me because I have no problems with hate mail. But all I'm saying is that we have a problem. Now, it's not the generational curse that curses the current. It's the choice that we make. And if we're not given the correct choice to make in the beginning, we can always co-sign it as a generational curse because we were never given the tools to regulate the curse in the first place. Okay, I'm trying not to preach. See, the problem is, I understand.
Go across the street.
Yeah. I know we gotta go across the street, but I'm gonna cut it down a little bit. But see, I understand. Now, I know back in, in my day, in Pastor Linwood's day, it was always the light skin versus the dark skin. Y'all remember the wars. I'm just saying, for y'all that's in our age group. But the fact of the matter is, we both go through the same situation, right? He's in one corner of the globe. I'm in one corner of the globe. But we grew up the same way. Go figure, right? But we're both pastors. Go figure, right? We're both called to do something greater than our circumstance. Go figure, right? We're both superseding what the norm was, going through all that psychological and physical and emotional turmoil that should have got us 6 feet under, but yet still we're here, right? So again, we are told to hold this standard, right? We're dealing with all these things, and even if we are the architect, the engineer of what God has placed in our life as being pastors of a church, of a flock, of people, of our family, of our first ladies, all these things come together, culminating. And we still dealing with personal issues, and we can't even talk to another brother because we have nothing alike, because all we talking about is pumping our chest, how big our church is, or how big our car is, or how big this and how big that is, but we still crying on the inside. And brother, I just need you to pray for me. What do you need me to pray for you, brother? I don't care about what we got, sir. The State of the Union is our heart. And in order for us to be strategic and pastoral as men of God, no disrespect to the women by no means, but for us to be strong as men of God, as heads of churches, as pastors, we got to stop this ego trip nonsense and be transparent enough to talk to each other and say, you know what, brother, I got issues. I need you to pray for me, not blast it all over social media and over World Star and all this nonsense that we doing now. We need to have a safe space, including our brothers. I know what it's like. It's sad. I'm sitting here tripping and I can't call nobody. I'm sitting here having problems with my marriage, but I love my wife, but I can't talk to nobody because all the higher echelons of ministry, they don't want to hear it. As long as I give them my dues every month, they don't care about none of that other stuff. See, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me digress. This we're talking about the man's mind, but it affects us. And all I'm saying is this: what has healed me as Chris, I am able to air out my stuff. I don't care what the megachurch pastor has to say about Pastor Chris. I don't care about the media echelon pastor that has to say about me. What heals me is the fact that I can bless somebody else, another pastor that is watching, another man that is watching, and he can see that, man, he's a pastor, but he went through all that stuff, but God kept him sane. Yes. It's nothing but God I'm on this program. It's nothing but God that's keeping my mental sharp. It's nothing but God that keeps me going with the way I'm going. I don't have a problem telling my story. And I'm glad you shared it, Brother Linwood, because the fact of the matter is, brother, I know where you are. I may not have the church, but I know where you are. And we always talk about we need to call each other, but now's the time to do it right now. I'm not just talking. We need to do it right now more than ever. Why? Because it's the state of our mind is at stake. The state of our spirit is at stake. And in order for real ministry to penetrate through the mega ministry nonsense that we've been put on and we've been given, that we're supposed to do as men, time out for mega ministry, time out for mega church. It's a new season, new time. Our mind has to be sharp. Our hearts have to be right. And we have to be able to come to each other as pastors, as men, and share things. Because women have it all the time. We got to break the mold, brother. And I'm sorry to take so much of your time. I'm sorry, but I just had to be obedient in saying this. We got to stop this nonsense about this whatever. I don't care how big your church is. I don't care how many people are in your ministry. I don't care if you have a limo service. I don't care if you have security. I don't care about any of that. All I care is your soul, your heart, and your mind. I could care less about anything else you have. And I'm being real with that. Because the fact of the matter is, men that are looking at us, they're not looking at the big church and the car you drive. They're looking at the authenticity of the heart posture. I'm done. Okay, I got to stop. I'm done. This ain't Pastor C. Ingram's.
Thank you, Pastor Chris, for sharing. And you always share from a very authentic space. If you know Pastor Chris on any platform that he's on, he's always speaking from a very authentic space. He is not for the faint in heart. Because listen, it's real, but it's what's needed. But it is an authentic space, and I'm grateful for you sharing and opening up, and addressing the fact that men as men need to come together and really be there for each other's time to put down all those other issues and idiosyncrasies. I always say comparison is the thief of joy, and that's why, and what I glean from basically is, the pressures of being provider and performer, but not being valued for yourself, and I've shared this before. When a woman is with you, if she's with you and her love grows for you based on what you are doing for her, she loves what you do. She does not love you. And women, you have to understand that if you are being drawn in by what he is doing for you, but you cannot share one thing that he likes, one thing that he appreciates, one thing that will make him smile, you are in error, and we are unbalanced, because again, you are loving what he does for you, but you haven't even gotten to know the man that is doing it. And this it adds to the already existing feelings that they have of expecting to being a provider and a performer, but not being valued for them. The things that you expect a man to know: what's my favorite color? What's my middle name? What makes me smile? What's my favorite fragrance? What time do I eat lunch? What do I even like for lunch? Do I eat the same thing on Tuesday? Do we know these things about our men? Everything that we need. You want to be overwhelmed with gifts and showered with love and words of affirmation. We need to express that to our men as well. Just because they're men doesn't mean we have to sometimes take that gender off of it and look at it from a humanistic standpoint. They are people with feelings. And again, these are things that you would not even know what's on his mind if you don't even bother to ask. So there's a lot of correction that we have to start instilling now. I want to welcome Paris Von Thomas, my sis, to the line. Hey, Paris. She says spiritual warfare for men need healing. Amen. She also said in relation to what Pastor Chris was saying as he was sharing part of his story, nothing but God. Great and healing conversation. Thank you so much, Paris. We try to keep it real and authentic here in this space. And I believe Auntie Grace was saying before about real conversation. So thank you, Pastor Chris, for sharing, for your share. Von Eric, hold on. And Elder Taryn is in the building. LWCC's in the house tonight. Okay. She says, great conversation. Yes, my Taryn said, love you. I love you too, Paris. I had to stop my commercial break for that, right? Just had to put that in there. All right, I want Von Eric to come and to share. This is a great conversation. We can never get it all in one night. We'd be doing a marathon, but these conversations are so necessary and needed, and we will continue to have them here for as long as I have a space to provide. I will continue to have, again, these hard conversations that no one wants to have, but is necessary. I'm not afraid to tackle the tough things because I know the tough things in my own life, the harsh realities in my own life that I've had to address and face. You can only run but for so long. And at some point, you come face to face with you. And I believe we as a people in relationship spaces, we are at the point where we are coming face to face with ourselves. And now's the time for us to stand back to back, supporting each other, not face to face fighting. So we are going to continue to have this conversation. We may even do a part 2 because I love to hear when the men speak, because it helps to, as a woman who's been through some things and seen some things with men that I probably should not have seen, and learned a little too much too soon. These conversations help to eradicate the myths and help me to unlearn some of the things that I've learned through what I've seen at my young ages, and develop certain attitudes relating to men, as in not being trustworthy. And so I had to unlearn that every man is not like the men I've seen. And I had to learn how to choose better with wisdom before I pour my oil into unworthy vessels. So I'm just saying. So that's why.
Pour your oil.
Watch your voice. Watch your voice. I was going from the biblical. From the biblical.
My sister now.
Watch your voice now. Mind you,
I mean, I got a few dollars. I can catch a flight to New York now.
No, it's gonna be good. Good, sir. Stay in Detroit. We good. Detroit. I'm saying.
No.
Listen. I'm just.
with the oil, avocado oil, but olive oil.
Over here.
8:30 it becomes Dawn B after dark. Something happened. That makes it go left. Just but I'm saying, when I'm referring to, okay, so to clarify before we move on and let Von speak, when I refer to pouring my oil, I'm speaking of my life's essence, my heart, my mind, my spirit, my efforts. Before that's oil, that's valuable.
Well, say that.
That's the currency of the relationship. Listen, I was coming from the biblical perspective, how before the oil on Jesus. I know everybody not saved. I know they not. Listen, 8:30.
He said you got
8:30. That's Dawn B after dark. This is when it gets real.
All right.
Listen, my mom on this platform. She didn't even. She understood. She know what I'm saying. She know my life. My oil been in wrong places before. I'm just saying. Listen. Tell the truth and free yourself. Don't even worry about shaming the devil. Tell the truth and shame yourself and free yourself. I'm saying.
Praying.
That was then. This is now. Paris says, yes, don't take your baggage from one relationship to another. They are not the same person. Paris is laughing at you, bro. Linwood. Yeah, I told you it's the toxic twins. It's Linwood and Chris. They are the toxic twins. Okay. Terrence says oil is costly. My God, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I told you I'm a God's girl. You gonna get some Jesus. Okay.
It depends on the oil, though.
It depends on
my grandma said keep your oil.
What oil are we talking about? Are we talking about Crisco?
That's what I was talking about, Pastor Chris. We talking about Crisco,
okay.
or we talking about lard? What we talking about?
Lard. There's no anointing in lard. It clogs up the arteries.
We ain't got that. Paris said you don't.
Crisco is a close second.
No. Okay. So again, to be clear, when I'm referring to the oil, the value of who I be and who I am, I'm referring to the essence of who Dawn is. My heart, my mind, my spirit, my efforts, my energy, my resources. Those are what I consider, yes, components of my oil, what I bring that is rich to the table. And we have to be mindful. So I've learned that. Just for clarifications. Okay, so I'm good now. All right, and that's the story.
Right.
Yes, in the voice of yes, in the voice of Mama Grimes. Hallelujah.
But right, see what I'm saying? All right, sure. Now that we've had our Dawn B after dark moment, courtesy of me. It always happens somewhere along the line. Something happens that just turns it left, and then we end up there. But we're here now. But anyway, all right. So Von Eric, This has been a great conversation. I would love to do a part 2. We definitely need to continue having these conversations because they are so necessary. We don't, if we could just, start to affect change in one person or two, it becomes infectious and contagious, and that's how we spread these changes abroad when people see change in us. So, Von Erich, I want you to come and share with us. We're going to start to wrap it up in a bit, and I want my Grimes, Dr. Grimes, to come and share after Von Erich. So come on, Von, and share what you would like to thus far for the. I can't even talk about.
I got you. I understood that you separating from the spiritual oil than the fleshly
Right.
oil. So I got
Thank you for understanding. Thank you.
I understood the separation. I got you. But I appreciate. I thank God for being here and being amongst these queens and kings. Thank you, Pastor Linwood, for sharing what you shared for us. And I can see that God is healing you and God is with you. You said some powerful words, and you shared your ups and downs and your trials and tribulations that you went through. And I'm thank God that I was able to be here and hear that and also learn and share what you have went through with my other brothers and sisters that come in and out my life. So much love and respect to you and to Pastor Chris, what you said, and the wisdom of Pastor Grimes coming from a prophetess that I see within her and what she shared, and Lady B for the host. But I understand one thing that Pastor Grimes, what everybody was saying, we live in a place, but the place before, as Pastor Grimes was saying, the history of the culture that we came from. Some people do not know how to separate themselves from that culture. They do not know how to involve within that culture that they are coming from, or the culture they was taught in. And I think these days at times, more people are talking, because a woman may say to her daughter, you need a man like this. You need a man, a provider. You need a man that don't talk about those certain things. But it doesn't go within the culture that we live in today. Now, some of the culture that we live in today take those heavy trials and tribulations and want to broadcast it everywhere to make money. We want to stay away from those type of people like that. But we want to talk about these things and share their wisdom and knowledge so people can grow and move forward and grow within themselves and without themselves too, because we need that. How else are we going to progress in this world with heavy trials and tribulations if we don't have the information for it? As they say, information is power, and that's true, spiritually and fleshly. It is true. And we must honor that. We must listen to one another. Don't be so fast to show your emotions. A woman and a man has been taught from the generation before them. And you must understand. I remember when I was my first girlfriend, my first love, when we broke up, I asked her, I said, why are you with this guy? She said, she said, he listens to me. So when I was around him, because I want to know, what in the world did I do? So when they was talking and having a conversation, he was saying, oh, you mean this? Oh, is this what you saying? And she said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I meant. I said, oh my goodness, never again. I'm going to do what he did. So I had to take that on from that brother. I wasn't full of pride, because that was a teaching moment. That's a teaching moment. We should not be ashamed to learn from another brother or a woman. We should not. God bring those information and bring them wisdom and knowledge and understanding. If it's not for you at that moment, keep it within yourselves, because God will bring you to that day that it is needed for you. And I think we should stick with one another, have patience with one another, and listen for understanding. Too many people are in with what they want and do not go within what they need. They spend too much time in what they want. I want this, I want this, I want that, I want this, and not enough time in what they need. I want a wife, but I need a queen. I need a queen with wisdom, as it spoke of in Proverbs, that was there before the foundation of the earth. I need that in my queen. That's what I need. I want a wife, but I need that because when I'm down, she's going to pick me up. When when I'm in distress, she will say the words which is needed for me to give me power, as well as I'm with her. I need to know everything about her, from her hair all the way down to her toes, everything in and out, for us to grow together, become one flesh. We spend too much time within our division and not enough time within our unity. And I think if we spend a lot of time within that unity, we can rule the world. But it starts within you and who you are. So I thank you, and I thank y'all all for all y'all wisdom. This is much love and respect, and I thank God for being here with y'all.
Eric, you know you that guy. You that guy. Okay. It took us a minute to get you here, but I'm glad you're here, and this will not be the last time. I promise you that. So I just want to read this comment, and then I want to leave space to my mom to come on and to share as we begin to wrap this up again. I wish we had all night. I would be here for 6 hours. I would, but but everybody might not be. I might be. We have to take turns, get on a schedule or something. But we are going to definitely make sure that we have more of this conversation again, because we can't cover it all at one night. Paris says, yes, we have to be open to being wrong and hearing from God. He speaks through spiritual guides, but you need discernment. Amen. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. So with that being said, I want to yield the floor to Dr. Grimes, my mama, so that she can come and share. And then I'm going to ask if anyone else has any final comments after that. We'll kind of leave her the last word. But come on and share, Mom, whatever it is that you want to impart after hearing so much. Again, she is a doctor for real, y'all. For real, for real. So what she shares is not from a gender space. It's not, while she is a pastor, she's amazing at separating. She hears spiritually, but she hears naturally as well, and is able to cover all bases and give it to you in a pretty box that will feed everything that you need spiritually and naturally. So I yield my mic to you, Mama.
Well, I'm not going to do part 2 tonight because so much has been spoken that we will need a part 2. You might need a part 12 just to talk about men and sex. That's a whole thing to itself, because unfortunately, Pastor's story is just not unique. And so what we are dealing with is the remnants of that 8-year-old or 12-year-old or whatever age it is, where people decide we're ready to learn things that we're not. I think the secret is we thought it was just girls, but we're learning that it's guys too. And all of us are in the same twisted boat, and we're all trying to deal with it. I'm going to take us back to history for 5 seconds. Both our men and our women were taught that this is a way to reproduce for money. Our children were valuable. They were not allowed to be children. They were profit. And so men were taught to breed, not with affection. And women were taught to breed, not with affection. Because the goal was, I can't bring any more from where I got these from, so I have to make a lot of them here. And so they got us into that mindset of just reproduce or do what it takes to reproduce. And that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother thing, because we've got to unlearn all of that mindset. But I think the thing that I want to leave you with is my gratitude. I have to do a hard thing this weekend for a man who decided that life was too hard. And so the word value is what the Holy Spirit dropped in my spirit. And so when I heard you starting to talk about it, I knew that that's what it was going to be about. I want everybody on this line to understand you have so much value. You have so much value. And when you know that, then you'll realize, as Pastor Linwood said, it's not about my house. It's not about my car. It's not about my clothes. It's not about my look. It's about me. And until we all figure out who we are, our relationships won't be as rich as they could be. And the word that you used is the root. If we can all dedicate ourselves to finding the root, to understanding why we became what we became, it doesn't matter what other people think. What matters is what I think. Why did I do? Why did I be? Why did I become? And once I get that, then I'll have so much more to give you. And my final thing is, for all of us, real truth requires that we give a person time to trust. I can't tell you my truth until I trust that I'm safe with you. So every woman, every man, learn to be a safe space. And you'll be surprised what you hear once a person knows they can trust you. That's it. We need several more shows, but I love you all. I thank you, men, for being vulnerable, because you are teaching lessons just by what you're doing here. I love you. Praying for you that you keep going. And Lady Dawn, you got this. Your mama gonna be quiet now.
I love my mama. You can't tell me she ain't my mama. I'll tell you lying. But this has been an amazing conversation on tonight. I could never thank everyone enough for what you share, what you pour, and what you bring to this table. I appreciate that you each take time to lend your voice to these very necessary conversations, so that we can be better tomorrow than what we are today. Paris says, excellent show. Thanks, Mom, for telling me about it. Telling about my Grimes. Absolutely, Paris. Thank you. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Bravo with Sheila Network with me, the girl, Lady Dawn B, on Thursday nights. We keep it real. This month of June has been amazing. No regrets at all. We have covered men's emotional health, men's heart health, and tonight we covered men's mental health. We talked about the song To Be a Man by Dax. It is men pouring out their hearts in the spaces that they need to, where they're not heard. He poured it into a song so you can be heard. So if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to it, I encourage you to do so and let it just sink in so that we can show up better for our men. Thank you, Von Eric. Again, it's the first time, not the last. Absolutely not. You know, we need you, sir, to come on in here.
Von Eric.
Thank you. Pastor Linwood had to drop off. He absolutely shifted the atmosphere. Again, I appreciate it. We tap in where when that bell rings, when we hit that nerve, that's where we stay, because that's what we come here for. We want to make the difference. So if that's the sweet spot, that's where we land. And so thank you, Pastor Linwood, for always sharing, for being a part of the Men's Lounge. Appreciate you. Pastor Chris, as always, I told y'all he's the experience and the encounter. Thank you for always coming and being authentic and sharing in this space. Mom, you already know, my number one girl. I love me some you every day, all day, and twice on the weekends, okay? I will try not to be biased, but I am biased, and that's just what it is. So I thank you for coming in, and as not just as my mom, as my spiritual mom, my pastor, but thank you for coming and lending your professional voice, your heart, and your spiritual voice to this conversation to help us have a awesome mediator and a space where it's not about favoritism. No one's choosing one side, but you make it clear for both of us. This conversation would not have been the same without all of you. And for all of you that joined us on tonight, thank you, thank you, thank you. Tune in for the month of July. We are setting it off with Love Marriage Ministry, and we are having that Pastor Chuck and Pastor Andrea, his wife, is going to be with him, and we're going to have a good old talk. We also have a versus coming up, the ladies' room versus the men's lounge. We're going to talk about mama's boys and daddy's girls. It's going down. So July is going to be really good and exciting. And then we're going to have another segment of Redeeming Me, where we're going to be talking about transformation. It's the season and the time for us to not just talk about becoming, but shift into becoming. Not talking about being, but it's time for us to go from the caterpillar to the butterfly and soar. So my final words on tonight are simply this. I appreciate what Pastor Linwood said. We all are in a space of, or have been, where we have learned to overcome what we have not even expressed yet. And that's a self-reflective moment. That was pivotal for me. So I would just say, ladies, since this is Men's Month, let's make sure that we start showing our men that we see them as valuable, not just as provider and performer, but as the person that they are. And let us build them up and not break them down. Men, we need you. We value you. We salute you this month. Thank you so much. It is only the beginning. It will not be the end. So with that, I say good night. Thank you all for tuning in. Those on the panel, please hang out for a moment. And everyone else, we will see you next week. Like, subscribe, and share. Make sure that you are sharing with someone so that they can get in on this good conversation as well. Just give us a moment and we will be out. But stay tuned.